We have Fox News Middle East analyst, foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump, Dr. Walid Phares, and the president and founder of High Noon Strategies, Lisa Booth. You know what's fascinating is you look at these protesters, we learn so much. They're plants. They're either union people, Hillary supporters, Bernie supporters, and we learn a lot about them. They throw eggs at little children and women coming out of these events. The media uses them and orchestrates and choreographs their positions in the case of Telemundo. What do you think?
Well, and I think that was very telling, right? I mean, because that's what the mainstream media wants. They want to be able to point to these protests to say, look, people don't like Donald Trump. Well, guess what? He's turning out tens of thousands of people at some of these rallies. So people do like Donald Trump. He won the Republican primary, and it's time for them to treat him as the Republican nominee. And we've seen that. They've just not given him the credit of being the Republican nominee. They're not treating Hillary Clinton this way.
Yeah.
And further, these protesters are actually helping to elect Donald Trump because I think they're seeing, how disruptive in the behavior that they're conducting.
It's certainly, everything else seems to boomerang back. Now we find out that in the case of they went after Trump University, well, we see that Bill Clinton is the president of this laureate college, and there's millions of complaints in all these countries, and he made, what, $16 million in a 4-year period.
Or you just look at the Clinton Foundation and the shady ties that it has to so many different people, but they're not reporting on that. They don't want to report on that. And you even look at with the IG report, and I don't think it got the coverage that it deserved either.
You know, Hillary gives this foreign policy speech, Walid, and, she doesn't mention Benghazi. She doesn't mention the 3 a.m. phone call. She doesn't mention how Libya got screwed up. She doesn't mention how Mosul and Ramadi and Tikrit and Fallujah ended up in the hands of ISIS because this president literally took victory away from our soldiers that fought so hard for those cities because he had to make a political point. Does she benefit by going after Trump, who was right in criticizing the bad pullout and the bad moves she made?
Sean, Secretary Clinton is using two main arguments to attack Mr. Trump. Number one is her pedigree, that she spent 4 years at the State Department as a Secretary of State of a great nation, superpower, meeting 80 leaders, visiting 112 countries, receiving up to maybe 1,000 briefings in total on national security, foreign affairs, meeting all these ambassadors on the one hand, and he did not. The problem here is that what have you achieved with all that pedigree? And you just mentioned it. Yeah. Libya is burning, Syria is burning, Iraq is exploding, Yemen is at war, Iran deal is not working. So there is no answer to these, so you go on forms and not on substance.
Well, let me go back to, is there any foreign policy success short of saying, okay, kill bin Laden? I can't think of any.
Well, and here's an important point to make about Hillary Clinton. Look, she's running to be the commander-in-chief, to oversee the world's largest nuclear arsenal, the world's largest superpower. We can't even trust her with her emails. How can we possibly trust her with that kind of power?
I think that's a great question, and I think the question is the world safer after 8 years of Obama, and would it be safer under Clinton? I don't think so. All right, thank you both.